Hey y'all, Little Drummer Boy 1970 again, and I want to take you out west on this edition of Trucker Tales. We've been in New England for quite a bit, so I want to take you out west for a Trucker Tale. And this one was actually a good experience. It wasn't crazy like the ones I've been posting so far, but back in 2012, I was driving a hauler for NASCAR racing experience, and my good buddy and lifelong uh, church member and friend John Griner now has that gig, which it's a great gig. I love that job, and I got in some legal trouble that is the only reason why I probably still wouldn't be doing it. But anyway, uh, so I was hauling the old NASCAR race cars, stock cars, for NASCAR racing experience, and like I hauled Junior's old car, Kyle Busch's old car, Matt Kenseth's old car. Um, and it was a really fun job. All I did at the track was strap helmets on people all day and escort them out on the pit road, to the car and back. But this is my first trip with NASCAR racing experience. It was in October to November of. Hang on a second, my charger's bothering me. October to November of 2012. Cross country trip from Concord, North Carolina, right behind Charlotte Motor Speedway, to Las Vegas Speedway, up in the desert, just north of Las Vegas, right across the road from, like right across the block from Carol Shelby's shop, and right across the street from Las Vegas drag strip, just like at Charlotte. Bruton Smith owns both of them, so he's got his drag strip right across the track from Las Vegas Speedway. Anyway, it was a great trip. Can you believe for this one what it was? They were doing a promotion for Discount Tire. Well, actually, it was for Discount Tire employees, and they were doing a big thing at Vegas for all their employees. And you talk about perks. So all the employees that went out there to the thing at Vegas, they got to do a lap ride a lap in the race car, free lap, and my job was to help at the track that week. But can you believe they deadheaded me all the way out to Las Vegas, empty, and then my back haul was picking up a load of BMW Z3 race cars to bring back across the country to Myrtle Beach Speedway, which I did, and they were going to use those old BMW Z3 race cars for drifting, because drifting is in amongst the young millennial boys and some ladies too. So I deadheaded all the way out there, and it was my first time I ever even saw the desert. I'd been to Texas several times, but it had been East Texas, like the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And when it's trees all the way, it's pine trees all the way till you get close to Dallas-Fort Worth. And then Dallas-Fort Worth is prairie. And same way with eastern Oklahoma. Well, on I-40, you get on out there, man, once you get past Oklahoma City, it starts getting real arid, and you're constantly climbing. There's no mountains or anything, but you're just constantly climbing. And by the time you're in the panhandle of Texas and Amarillo, it is nothing but a desert plain. And then you get to New Mexico, and you want to stop and take a picture over every ridge and around every curve. New Mexico is kind of a burnt red, and you have all those buttes and mesas, and it's just gorgeous. Then it's weird. Arizona has its own color. New Mexico's reddish. Arizona is brown desert colored, except for Flagstaff Mountain, which has a bunch of fir trees on it. It's the only trees I even saw in Arizona, but the mountain at Flagstaff, which you can see into the Grand Canyon from, is covered in fir trees. But anyway, then you go on out to Kingman, and there's like an 8,000-foot desert mountain right before Kingman, highest place I've ever been on the ground, because there's a Love's truck stop up there. I don't know how on earth they let them build a Love's on top of that mountain, but it was the best view I ever had from where I parked my truck. I mean, you can see like 50 miles across the desert. and went for a run while I was up there, and it was like I was kind of scared because I mean there was cactuses and tumbleweeds, and the air was thin. It's hard to run up there at that altitude or elevation, and in my back of my mind, I was, worried about mountain lions, rattlesnakes, and Indians, because it's still a very Native American area. Nothing against Native Americans, but it didn't look like the safest place in the world to me. But anyway, so then I spent the night there, and then from Kingman you go on up. You're almost to California and the Colorado River, and from Kingman you go on up Highway 93 to Vegas. It's about 90 miles north of I-40 in Kingman. And so I'm going across the Pat Tillman Bridge. Now, this is one of the highest bridges in America. It crosses Boulder Canyon. It's 930 feet off the water, off the Colorado River. And it's so high, you look down on 756-foot Hoover Dam from it. And they want the trucks in the left lane. I went over in the right lane because I wanted to see what was down there. But because of the danger of being blown off the bridge, they actually want you in the left lane. I guess that way, I don't know, because the bridge is still, I don't know. I think the bridge is still divided. So I don't see how having you in the left lane would keep you getting blown off of it. But I noticed these intake towers over the edge. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's Hoover Dam. And so I eased back over in the right lane, and sure enough, from the Pat Tillman Bridge, I'm looking down at Hoover Dam. They built the Pat Tillman Bridge after 9/11 because tractor trailers are no longer allowed over Hoover Dam since 9/11. So they built the Pat Tillman Bridge for the truck traffic, basically. But I tell you what, you would not want to drive a truck down in the Hoover Dam anyway. Hairpin turns, and you're looking 930 feet down the canyon at the Colorado River. You can't even see the bottom from the road up there. And it's pretty scary. I don't know how they drove tractor trailers down in there anyway, because those turns are really tight. But I had one day off. In Vegas, man. I'd never been out there, and I'm like, oh man, how am I going to spend this? I knew I wanted to go to Hoover Dam because it's like 30 minutes from Vegas, right there, Boulder City, on the Arizona-Nevada border on Lake Mead and Colorado River. I also thought about going over to Death Valley, California. Hadn't been to California yet at that time, and of course I wanted to spend some time in Vegas. So, anywho, I went that morning. Well, I tried to cram as much. And I hate I didn't go to Pawn Stars. I forgot about it, but really I didn't have time. I had one day off, and I tried to cram as much into that day as I could. And I went to, first place I went was to the Carroll Shelby Museum. And the base Shelby Mustangs that they convert there and customize and build there were like $50,000 and still have 600 horsepower, the base model. And they showed us different models, and they will let you build, but they said, we'll build you one up to 1,100 horsepower if you're willing to pay for it. That's insane. NASCAR only has 750 horsepower. Who needs 1,150 horsepower on the road? I mean, we are talking about twice as much horsepower than most big rigs have. But anyway, it's a free country, so if you want it, you can get it there at the Shelby shop. And the place where they're building the AC Cobras again, because so many replica companies were starting to build replicas of the AC I ain't been drinking, I swear. I cannot talk, though. I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. I think I need something to drink. Anyway, not alcoholic either. I'm in recovery, in case y'all didn't know. But the AC Shelby Cobras, kind of a tongue twister. The open, two-seater open Shelby Cobras, they started building those again. And so anyway, you can go in there and see where they build them, but you can't take pictures of that part. They don't want anybody taking pictures in there. And then you go in and see where they convert the Mustangs and customize them into Cobra Mustangs. and they want you to sign the wall. They said Carroll Shelby got tired of signing autographs for people, and so he said he wanted people to sign autographs for him. So I could barely find a spot on the wall with my Sharpie to sign, and my dad had died in 2008 on May 24, 2008, had passed on, and mosquitoes. And so I put a memorial to Dad, the dates he lived, and a little cross there on the wall of the Shelby Museum. I think he would, shopping museum, he would like that, I think. And then I went out to Hoover Dam, and I knew you couldn't drive a truck across it, so I parked up from the guard station, and I started walking down there. And they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, they let me." NASCAR Racing Experience was gracious enough to let me bobtail out to Hoover Dam, which is really cool. And I said, "Well, I heard you couldn't drive a truck across Hoover Dam." They said, "Well, you can drive a truck, you just can't bring a trailer. You can bobtail across." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I walked back up there to get my truck, and it was pretty tight inspection. I mean, they open my side boxes, they look in the sleeper, and so then I wind on down that hairpin road and drive across the top of Hoover Dam in the Volvo tractor. Go park on the Arizona side where the parking is. Walk back across, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. I mean, it's a beautiful work of art. They've got an intake tower on the Nevada side, an intake tower on the Arizona side, and both of them have a clock on them. The Nevada side has Pacific time. The Arizona side has Mountain time. Of course, I think it's in the summertime, Arizona is on Pacific time. Part of the year, Arizona is on Pacific time, and part of the year, it's on Mountain time. I don't think they do daylight savings time. So, in other words, I guess they stay like on the winter time year round. But so walk across beautiful Hoover Dam and that beautiful canyon. You know, been from the East Coast, I've never seen nothing like this. And then I paid, and I went and I toured the powerhouse. So to go down the powerhouse, you go down this 756-foot elevator through the rock. It's the only elevator I've ever been on. Now, I'm sure there's some in New York City and, well, shoot, probably even Charlotte. Big cities with, skyscrapers where your ears pop. Well, my ears popped on the elevator down to the powerhouse at Hoover Dam. And you go down there, man, and it was something to see. They've got a powerhouse on the Nevada side and the Arizona side. And they bring you out, and you're in a cave. You come out in a cave. You're in the rock. And then they bring you out in this little room, and you're on top of a 50-diameter penstock pipe that feeds the turbines. The water goes through that pipe to feed the turbines, and you could actually feel the vibration of the water going through the pipe underneath you. It was kind of cool and kind of eerie all at the same time. And so then they take you on into the powerhouse, and y'all, there's like 8 generators on each side, and the generators in that thing are about as big as a house. And everything in there, they went all out. They built this thing from 1931 to 35. And although Hoover was regarded as a terrible president, he was the one that got this deal done back in the 20s. And what happened was they were having a lot of bad floods that were destroying farms, droughts, and so they built the Hoover Dam for flood control and for power for the Southwest and water for the Southwest. Irrigation. A lot of the fruits and vegetables we eat come from Lake Mead water that's stored behind Hoover Dam on the Colorado River. And it's still way down in the canyon. So you got about 200, even on the lake in Lake Mead, you got about 200 feet of canyon wall up above the lake. It's just gorgeous. So anyway, and then that evening, I parked my truck, and I did the walk across the Pat Tillman Bridge, and it was at sunset, y'all, and it's one of the most beautiful things in my life I've ever seen. Okay, the sun is over here in the west setting, and it's hitting the red rocks behind Hoover Dam, and they are reflecting in Lake Mead. And from that bridge, it just looked like the lake was on fire, y'all. I mean, it was so beautiful. I don't know if I've ever seen anything more beautiful. Um, well, I've seen some ladies that I thought were probably more beautiful than that, but well, definitely, because I think beautiful ladies are the most beautiful thing I've seen. But I mean, outside of that, um, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And Hoover Dam, even though it's man-made, it is a marvel in itself. It's just gorgeous. Y'all go check it out. If you go to Vegas, make that part of your trip. And oh, and that night I went back to Vegas and I went to Fremont Street. I was actually on the strip and I ran into this intersection. All the people were crossing the strip. I'm like, what's this? And it's Fremont Street. Fremont Street is a closed off street. They have zip liners up above you, and that's where the party is. Fremont Street on just a regular Tuesday night. Fremont Street in Las Vegas was as good as Speed Street in Charlotte when they had the Coca-Cola 600. I mean, it's like a party down there every night, you know. Live bands all the way down through there, street dancing. I learned to do the wobble that night. And had a great time. And then bobtailed back to my casino hotel, which literally took that casino hotel that I stayed in, that NASCAR racing experience put us up in, literally took 5 minutes to walk across. So basically, it was about a quarter mile long. When I walk about 20 miles a minute, 3 miles an hour. I mean, 20 miles a minute, good Lord. A mile every 20 minutes. So if it takes you 5 miles to walk across if it takes you 5 minutes to walk across a casino, that means that casino is about a quarter mile wide. But anyway, that was my Vegas trip, y'all. I might talk about Vegas more in another video, or I may let this be it, because that's the only time I was there, and I was working every day but once. But if y'all like my content, like, share, and subscribe to Little Drummer Boy 1970, and go see Hoover Dam if you get the chance. I'll talk to you later. Bye.